Good evening, good evening, good evening. It is Thursday night. American Scouts on TV Thursday night podcast. That's the Patina, but if you're a cool kid who loses consistently to Liverpool's kids but has a head made of Lego, it's Mikel Arteta. And we'll talk about that game last night where he yet again just couldn't figure out why our youth players essentially, plus our 7-year-old Neoni, are so good, and he's unable to beat them. But we have Brian as always tonight. Trevor, how are you, Brian?
Doing hot and fantastic. We're 105 degrees of heat index in lovely Virginia.
Trevor, how are you? Melting as I am in this part of the world, I'm sure.
Yeah, not quite 105, but nearing that triple digits and not enjoying a single second of it.
It's ice cream weather if ice cream could stay cold for 2 seconds. And humid as well, which makes it worse. I think that's the worst part about it. But here's tonight's show. We're going to talk about the Arsenal game just a little bit. We had a nice post-match last night. We talked about a few things. We might go a little bit in depth and get two different points of view about the game. Small matter of Klopp re-emphasizing that he is actually retired from soccer and we should not see him coaching again. I'm sure there's some under-10s teams that are trying to change that right now. We'll talk about what are the best snacks to have whilst watching our favourite Liverpool team. And then we'll look ahead to the game this coming weekend against Manchester United on Saturday evening, which means no rest for the wicked. Sparky Parky says, good morning, guys. It must be in the same time zone as Cozzy, who's still in last Monday. It's good. We would like this. We love to see Sparky Parky and Philip Bidwell. I just hope you're not saying I'm fat there, Philip. Big up Macka, Brian and Trevor. The other two lads look kind of slim, but you know, I'm eating the donuts that man leaves behind, which we all know. And we may have a special guest in an hour if he has an invitation to drop by, and he's more than welcome to. But let's start with the game last night, and we'll go with Trevor first. There was a lot of interesting things. There were some things in the Discord channel that I was not happy about in the beginning because it looked like we were doing the Rodgers ball, tippy-tappy, passy. But then one nice little deft chip over the top from Kelleher sets us free and we get the first goal. And then a magnificently taken goal for the second by Carvalho and a really lovely pass from Elliott, hammering down his credentials for that spot in the midfield. I'm still not convinced by Carvalho despite the goal, but it was a lovely good goal and something that hopefully Darwin Núñez was watching just to get him in there and early on a Thursday evening. But also look like Diogo Jota has the Núñez yips so far this season. So maybe Darwin Núñez the course is gone. He's ready. He's going to get that goal. But Trevor, what was your impression of the game overall? And are there any specific things you saw that you liked and disliked?
Yeah, maybe Darwin had like that entity from The Thing, and he's passed it along to Jota, where all of his shots just magically hit the post now. But yeah, I think it's something from the first half. You kind of just have to take it at face value. Carvalho, we all know that he can't be up there in a front three, but I think he made the most of it. Mo seemed a bit more interested than he did in the Betis game. And Harvey looked amazing. And I feel that if he is not part of that midfield three on opening day, there needs to be serious discussions made about the credentials of this coaching staff, because he has sat here, he's been humble, he's done everything right. And when he's getting these opportunities, he's smashing them out of the park. So I really think Harvey, just whoever you put around him, I know you really got to put McAllister in some role, but him, Mac, Harvey, and insert third name here. We'll probably discuss that over time. But yeah, the defense looked kind of shaky, but more than anything, there was a lot of guys that seemed very willing to get back and dive for things in a preseason game, which I view as a positive. But outside of that, yeah, you take it that this one went through with no injuries, and people seem to be clicking well.
Brian, what were your takeaways from the game? How did you view it, apart from on television through your eyes? And then was there any, like, for example, if you look back, I mentioned this last night in the post-match. If you look at the kickoff, we almost played like 4 defenders and then a sweeper for the kickoff. It was a really unusual setup. It was interesting that we're trying new ideas, and it's refreshing to see. So was there anything like that you saw that made you go, ooh, we're going to be a different proposition this season under Slot?
Well, we were talking about that with playing the ball with the feet, with his feet. Kelleher scared the crap out of me in the first half, with the way he was going, with the way he was. What was it? 3 times that his forward pass came there, got knocked back at him. So yeah, wasn't very too caring of that. But his long ball approach right there that he had for this pass to Mo up there to Mo, fantastic. I mean for that Mo's goal. I mean, so no complaints there. I'll echo what Trevor said about Harvey Elliott, a beast. I mean, Harvey Elliott totally took that game by storm. Slobozlai's work rate was really nice. I enjoyed watching him. I mean, I was really fascinated to put having Carvalho out wide left, which I didn't think that would be a good spot for him right there. But I mean, he actually didn't play that bad. He had a few decent runs. Kwanzaa looked fantastic also. I mean, I can't, I think that Konate's got some work to do right there to bounce Konate out of that starting position. And I think I think that we have a pretty decent little young squad right there that to go forward. Another thing I did notice too right there was our forward press right there is so different from Klopp's press. I mean, and it's almost refreshing because after having 9 years of the same type of play, to see something different right there was good to watch, and it was a little bit more in depth right there than watching against Betis. So you got to see a little bit more how things are going to function. So yeah, I think there's a definitely bright spot going forward.
Just in terms of something we talked about with regards to Salah, at least, was the way the midfield play, Trevor, was built, the different style of build, the slower, more deliberate method of moving the ball around and securing players into their positions first, rather than trying to hit the gaps that the opposition leaves as fast as possible, looked like something that Salah actually fit into quite well. But I think one of the points was made last night, and it speaks to what Darren the GOAT is saying, is how many goals do we see Darren scoring this season? Well, I don't think we can answer that until we've seen him, but it seems like a system that Darwin actually will get more out of, because he's not having to bring the chaos defensively every single second of the game. Do you think that the way we play now in midfield under Slot, from the indications we've seen so far, slightly slower build-up, not quite Brendan Rodgers slow, but not heavy metal football by any stretch, do you think that's going to help Salah in his old age and Darwin in his sort of panicness sometimes, if that's a word, it is now, when he gets the ball? And that composure that he's going to be allowed is going to give him the opportunity to score more goals.
I really think that this not needing to be pressing 24/7 is going to help Darwin in the sense of, and this is kind of wishful thinking on my part, that he's not going to be caught off sides as often as he does, because he doesn't need to be pressing consistently and finds himself in those positions where he overcommits or something like that. And then we win the ball back in the midfield, because there's a lot of ball winners in that midfield, a lot of guys that work really hard to get the ball and then immediately transition, and Darwin finds himself on an island sometimes. In terms of Mo, I think, yeah, it may allow him to be a bit more deliberate, because he'll get the ball and then the rest of the team will kind of work their way up, instead of just getting him the ball out in the wing and then just hoping for the best. I think with his ability to facilitate now at his old age, and him being more reliant on himself to find a pass instead of having to shoot every time, I think that is going to be valuable for him. But to answer these questions coming through, Darwin, yeah, like Macka said, the goals, I kind of want to just see 2 or 3 games before I start putting those predictions out that I will inevitably get horribly wrong. And in terms of Anthony Gordon, as much as I dislike him as a person, as a player, I think he would absolutely thrive as a Liverpool player.
The big hello to YNWA family from Estonia. Fantastic. We're reaching there. But I think that's a good point by Cody Foltz 9 there about Gordon. Because we are looking for, as fans, we're looking for some movement. I believe we're still the only Premier League club that hasn't made any transfers this transfer window.
And as Gally said, in the top 5 leagues.
In the top 5 leagues, yes.
The only team without significant transactions in pretty much any capacity, which, not great.
And of course, with the name, obviously, it's Cody Gakpo to get a chance at Liverpool. I think we could all agree you've seen some fantastic stuff. But at left wing, he will shine for us, which means he's competing with Diaz and possibly Gakpo, who I think says that's his favourite position. When you're looking at the game last night, and then maybe the one in Betis, but definitely last night, because a lot of things seem to click tactically. Brian, are you looking at that and looking at the personnel we have that have still to come back from their breaks and go, where's this player going to fit? How is this player going to sit in there? Who's going to win the battle between these 3 players for this one spot? It's a nice headache to have for a manager, but it does kind of influence the transfer work, doesn't it? If we don't really need another left winger, we don't really need Anthony Gordon, do we? And then maybe that money could be put towards a dominating number 6 or another centre half, or even a replacement for Kelleher if he ends up going, or a left back if Robertson is near the end of his career. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, definitely. I mean, I'm really concerned about whether a left wing is something that we need, especially playing a 4-2-3-1. I mean, because you have a player right behind. I mean, if we were back to playing a 4-3-3, I could see a left wing goal coming in with as a replacement for Diaz, if Diaz wants to make that transfer. But I mean, I'm like with Trevor. I think that Gordon is a fantastic player. I'm not a fan of him personally, but I think he's a fantastic, tiny little player. I've said for a while that we need to look for a replacement for our left back. I watching Simicast last night reaffirmed that we need a left back, because I think that there was definitely some problems right there and with on that side right there that caused some defensive issues. Number 6, yeah, I think that, but I want to give Bashatek a shout. I think that he's going to be a good player. It also all depends on number 6 whether we move Endo or not. If we move Endo, then yeah, we have to have another number 6. Same thing if we move Morton. So those are your 2 players, your holding players. So if that happens, then yeah, I'm going to say right there we need number 6. But right now, I mean, I think that Bashatek right there is working his way to being our starting number 6 in that spot, especially with Gravenberch probably right behind him in that double pivot. So I think that I don't see where we're going to have to go and spend that kind of money on there. And maybe even what Gally was talking about, like with Monday before last, this might not be a transfer window that we see a lot of movement right there. We may see more players out than in right there. Just to go there, get a good assessment of what the squad has to offer. I mean, I think we have a lot more dead weight personally than we have needs. If that makes sense.
Was that a crack at me being fat again, Brian? I mean, come on. And now here's something I want to throw to you, Brian, before we get back to Trevor. It's something I said last night, which caused a little bit of consternation. Is it possible Trent is our number 6? And Bradley's going to be our proper out and out real right back?
I mean,
you're going to get us canceled.
I mean, I don't like Trent in the midfield, but I think that Bradley is a better defender and a better overall transitional player. I think that Trent is a better player on the ball than Bradley, because I did see some runs that Bradley made that I thought could have been a little bit better right there, and I thought that his ball placement could have actually got back in the box better when he made those forward runs. But I do think that I can see Trent basically as a number 6. I don't like it, but I can see it. I mean, but I think that we have to make some kind of room for Bradley, because I think Bradley is a very talented young right back that I think that he fits Slot's type of system also. So I mean, possibly, I mean, you can see either Gravenberch with Trent on Gravenberch on the right with Trent on the left in that double pivot, or you basically see that Bajatek and Trent. I mean, all possibles are there. But again, with that position right there, you have to defend, and I question Trent's defending, just like probably everybody else in the world right there on a lot of instances that Trent goes missing when he defends. I will see. I mean, but I just would have been. I don't want him to go there into us to think of him like a Fabinho type player that actually helped that right back position, because I don't think that we're going to get that out of Trent.
I just want to know what Jeff Cutler knows about Trent's private or Bradley's private life there. That's a bit personal there, Jeff.
Ooh.
Now, John Santos says we need to stop scapegoating Tsimikas for everything. He was one of the best players yesterday. I don't think it's necessarily a case of scapegoating. I just think he's not the starting left back. And if Robertson is even, for me, slightly even 10% worse off this season than last season, he's still better than Tsimikas, which means he really is the reserve left back if we can get somebody in. I think but I think we've spoken before that Tsimikas he's just a great squad player to have. He doesn't cause any issues, and he does the job that he does. And with Gomez apparently rumored to be moving, maybe Tsimikas is well placed to stay where he is, even if he's not the starting left back. Football Flashback has just smashed that like button, but also don't forget you can tap it gently. We appreciate the like, and we appreciate all the people that are commenting today. It's fantastic. But be kind to your keyboards, people. Be kind to your keyboards. They're very expensive. Trevor, in terms of the game, before we move on to our next topic, for Arne Slot, he's a different type of coach, obviously, as most coaches are different, to Klopp. He's not emotional, but he's definitely dramatic. He's definitely dramatic. He's definitely participatory. He's almost Rafa-like in one sense, and almost Klopp-like in another sense, and possibly even a little bit Brendan-like with some of the style of play at times. So are we possibly getting a nice hybrid of some of our previous managers, but not Roy Hodgson, thankfully?
Hey, who knows? Slot may fall asleep on the sidelines during the one of the game, and that's how you get your Roy in there. We're gonna just make it this huge ball of former managers, bit by bit. But in terms of what you're talking about, I do see that there's a lot of things that people are going to have to get used to in terms of it not being Jurgen anymore. It's not going to be something where he's fist pumping down the sidelines at every single thing. But there are going to be some like histrionics. When somebody is not following instructions, you can see him get kind of perturbed about it. Like he's not going to run up and just pull the guy by the scruff of his neck and just yell at him and motherfuck him on the field. But there is going to be, seemingly there's going to be consequences come meaningful games if you are not doing what he is asking of you. There doesn't seem to be a very long leash for that type of thing. Other than that, I just kind of want to see how in this last game, and we'll get to it, how he kind of just utilizes, if he puts more of the team that's coming in for the second halves of these games and tries to integrate it a little more into the first half. That's kind of all I want to see. And if that bears any fruit, that would be incredibly helpful.
Last thought for you, Brian, on the game before we move on. Just to answer this question, it's American Exclusive TV Thursday nights. That's what it means, because that's who we're on Thursday nights or Monday if you're cozy. So Brian, in terms of the style of play, do you think supporters are going to have to get used to the lack of urgency? Because we're not looking to pour forward on every attack. We're not looking to hit teams on the break on every attack. And it's almost like the players are being taught to read the game, see what the situation is, and then deal with the situation in front of you. As they say in pool and snooker, you can only play the table as it is and not the way you want it to be. Do you think there's going to be any resistance game a little more, or will everybody be on board? Because so far it looks like it could be really, really good. Just a different good than Klopp.
Yeah, I mean, but you think about the Dutch way. The Dutch way is total control, and I think that that's what we're going to see. We're going to see total control. To answer a couple questions right there for Lucho Magic, I'm from Richmond, Virginia. So yeah, I'm right out about 50 miles south of DC, and yes, it absolutely is the top we won the premiership with. But yeah, so. I think that back to my train of thought right there. I think that the playing style right there it was a lot of slow build up, but the thing I liked the most was that when the other side had the possession of the ball, our press in that third of the pitch was amazing to watch. You know, it was totally different from Klopp, which is a total press. This is like a kind of like a mini press. It was like Geigen light basically right there with how they pressed it and all that. And it was
that's an IPA, isn't it?
It probably is. But yeah, so I mean, I think that the players. It suits certain players in there, which I talked about in our pre-match right there. I think the type of play this is suits a Carvalho type of play, because I think he had a lot of because a player with a lot of Coutinho type qualities right there will thrive in this type of system, because I think it's a basically pass and wait for the mistakes and then go in for the kill. And I think that we could do that. I mean, it's kind of like what Brendan Rodgers, in a way, you said right there, and kind of what he did in that 2014, like in that time period there when we almost won the league. You know, that type of ball play. So I think that we're going to enjoy our football a little bit more, because maybe we won't lose as many heartbeats like we did with Klopp right there, because I think I lost probably at least a decade from watching Klopp's ball play and his style.
We're saying so many nice things about Brendan Rodgers tonight.
Yeah, let's move on. It's really weird. It's freaking me out. So let's move on to the other manager.
And I muted myself while I was saying that. So yeah,
there you go.
We know what we're doing.
Yeah, we do. We really do. So Klopp apparently has kind of put to bed any speculation of him taking the England job by saying he's done. He's done with coaching. He's retired. It's not just a sabbatical till he comes back to something else. He is finito benito. It's a sad day for soccer. Bittersweet for us, because if we were his last club, we get to love him more than everybody else ever gets to love him. But Trevor, is this an indication that he didn't just burn out, but he completely flamed out and the pressures just got to him too much? Is it a case, do you think, that maybe in a few years, like not 5 or 6, but like 1 or 2, he may become an international manager where the stress levels aren't too high? Or is it, did something happen? Did he have like any sort of breakdown or something like that? And then he's just, it's not good for his mental health at this point to be so full on 150% to the detriment of all other things in his life to try and make teams successful.
More than anything, I think this is him kind of putting his foot down and putting the kibosh on the entirety of the rumor mill. And that is, I think, a big portion of why he came out and said these things. I've seen too many retirements that have ended in unretirements. Shout out to Terry Funk and Sugar Ray Leonard. That I'm not going to sit here and say that he's ever going to say never, because I think with him at his age, I think that's a bit short-sighted. But this is probably going to be like a 5-year thing, where if he comes back, it's going to have to be the right thing under his terms, with his system and his rules. And if right now England's not that, the US isn't that, Germany isn't that, so there's no real reason for him to kind of just let these people go and, oh, Jurgen's available. No, just we're not having these conversations. I'm not going to have my name plastered across bookmaker sheets, because there's no real point in having it be something that is just kind of there lurking. If he really is just burnt out to the point where he had to make this decision as Liverpool manager in the way he did this year, I think if he does come back, it's going to be quite a bit of time before he does. And if he doesn't, what he's given to this sport across the Bundesliga and what he did with us, no one's ever going to fault him for going out in the manner that he did.
Brian, is it possible that this reaction from Klopp, this kind of discarding of his life's work almost, speaks to what we speculated all as Liverpool fans and as a channel and as a weekly show way back when, that just the sheer hassle of having to deal with transfers and trying to get owners to pay money for players that the team obviously needs, and then being disappointed when they didn't do that because somebody with a spreadsheet said that player wasn't worth the money or something like that. Is it possible that he just is a man out of time almost? That if this was 1990 or 1980 or something like that, 1994, 1984, or even 2004, he'd go on and on and on, because at that point managers had all the power. But this fracturing of power that we see in clubs now is just not for Klopp, because he's so single-minded in the vision of what he wants to do.
First, right there, what does Klopp have to prove anymore? I mean, I guess you get to the point in your career right there where you've won all this stuff. What do you have to prove? I mean, so I think that Klopp's at the point, kind of like I'd like to see Klopp go the route of Arsene Wenger, of go to like a technical type of stuff, like a support, with like UEFA or something like that, where he could go there and share his expertise. I like that he's back with us as part of our family, because he's always going to be our family from his manager's standpoint, but to actually be in the background where he can go there and meet and greet with us.
We don't have to buy him cake, do we? I haven't got that kind of money.
Well, we eat cake anyway, so he.
But you can just stay on brand and get him donuts.
Yeah. But yeah, I really would rather go there and see. I would like to see Klopp go there and have another job, because I think that it would possibly maybe tarnish his record in a way, because I've seen great managers come out to other jobs, and then they go and fail, and it says, okay, well, maybe he was that one-time guy that came there and succeeded. And I think that Klopp has more to offer than that. I think that Klopp has a lot to offer with his playing style, and I think that in terms of being support for like football, like kids, are support for like initiatives right there that spread football across the world, that would be something I think that Klopp would be a fantastic at, because he's charismatic. I mean, it didn't take long for all of us to fall in love with him, as a person. I mean, so I mean, why would the world not want to do that? And I want to answer a question way back there. No, I'm not drinking Guinness. I'm drinking Legend Brown Ale from Richmond, Virginia.
Liverpool video says he didn't say he was going. He actually said things look in a few months. For now, nothing is decided. That was the quote I saw, but I'll be happy to be proven wrong. But Darren the Great either saw the very start of the show or is incredibly psychic. Or Darren the Goat, pardon me. What's your guy's favorite food? We're not going to answer that particular question, because obviously the answer for me is potatoes. So we're not going to do that. But what we are going to talk about, and we want to hear from you guys as well out there in ASTV land, is what are your favorite game snacks? What do you like to munch on and drink whilst watching Liverpool in the comfort of your own home? Or if you go to the bar, if it's a bar that sells really good French fries, that's exactly what I'm going to have. A pint of French fries and liquidized as well, just for extra effect. But we'll start just because it's interesting what you end up like. Like popcorn is the movie food, hot dogs are the baseball food, that kind of a thing. For me, if it's a big game, if it, Liverpool United or something like that, there's a store that sells Irish and English food near where I live, and I go there and I get Irish potato chips, as they say here, called potato, cheese, and onion, the best flavor ever, and some bread and some butter, and make potato chip sandwiches with good old sugary Coca-Cola, because you can't beat that. High fructose corn syrup Coca-Cola. And that'll do me. That will absolutely do me. Although I am partial to a nice croissant as well, because I'm continental like that. Brian, what are your game day snacks and drinks whilst watching Liverpool?
It all depends on the time right there. So first of all, if it's a morning, it's this black coffee with a little bit of sugar and a bagel with cream cheese right there. Usually is my go-to for the mornings. If it's the afternoon, if you guys go and join our Discord channel, you'll understand right there what I do in the afternoons. Meat, it's smoked meat in this all the time right there. So put your meat in the smoker right there in the morning. By afternoon, you've got good roast pork, or you've got good smoked pork. You've got good roast beef in this from the smoker. You've got chicken, so those things like that. And then to wash it down with a good fine beverage right there. I mean, not to promote alcohol like shouldn't, but yeah. But most of us here are adults right there, so so just a good brown ale or a good wheat ale in the summertime. So it depends right there, but definitely right there. In the morning it separates as it be with us in these states. These 7 o'clock, those 12 o'clock matches are 7 o'clock in the morning for us. So that's definitely a morning time thing. But our afternoon matches, so some snacks. And how to decide to become a Red? Well, that's a pretty complicated story right there. I became a Red probably about the same time right there with the Jet with the Jet era. And the days back where in the United States where you had to actually come with and look at the scores scrolling down instead of actually come with there and watch matches, are paid for pay-per-view matches, which are like $19 or sometimes like $20 a piece to watch the match, which I paid to watch the Michael Owen FA Cup final back then. So that's how I became a Red, and it was a sense of community, and I think that it still is a sense of community for me right there, because we're all passionate, but we're all actually have a little bit more coof than those guys that we play on Saturday, and also those guys down south in London.
Trevor, what are your favorite snacks for watching? I have a follow-up question for both of you as well, but what are your favorite snacks for watching a Liverpool game in the comfort of your own sofa?
So when I decide to not go out to my watering hole, in that regard, having to go and not supporting theft or anything, having to just get the sports page from the New York Times from Shaw's, because that was the only place I could find scores when I first started. I would just steal the sports page from the New York newspapers, because they always had the scores in there, and you'd get that. All right. That has nothing to do with food. So, getting back on topic. Whoever said nachos earlier, you have 100% the correct answer. Nachos are any time of day. You just put cheese and chips together. I've been air frying a lot of crap lately, because why not? When I go out, it's shout out to Murphy's in Province, by the way, who open up for like 98% of even the super early games here in Rhode Island. So they're absolute legends for that. But you start off with a Guinness. I have the palate of a 5-year-old, so I get chicken tenders, and then you kind of just let
Smiley
it
face fries.
Yeah, if they were shaped like dinosaurs, it would have been perfect. But it's kind of just whatever tenders they get through the distributor that week. And from there, you kind of just let the day take you where you go. I kind of Cody, absolutely. You should have seen me when I was doing the morning shows with Timuchin during the World Cup. I was waking up at 3:30 in the morning for the Qatar games, and absolutely, I was. Well, that's a bit of a harsh term, but I'll leave that be in its own realm. But yeah, I think it is something where more than anything, and another reason why nachos is great, community food is a big part of the experience for me. And just being able to be around people and be like, yo, can I bum one of those? And snacks for the table. I don't know. I'll probably start talking about charcuterie boards if you give me like another 10 minutes. So I'll just stop there.
I too like community foods and snacks for the table, but I just don't have anybody else to eat them. It's great. I just get it all for myself. So here's the follow-up question.
I'll get one for the table, and then it's just...
and those guys can have something else. Follow-up question. Start with Brian. Does your choice of snack and drink change for the time of day of the game, especially as Liverpool, as we all know, have an inordinate amount of 7:30 games for us, or 3:30 2 days before of your cosy? Does that change? Because for me, then that's a Cocoa Krispies or a Frosted Flakes snack if it's like a 7:30 game. I don't have the stomach for potato chip sandwiches at 7 or 6:30, but I could go for a bowl of Cocoa Krispies or Cocoa Pops as they're called back where I'm from, and I'd rather have a bowl of them for anybody who knows the commercial. But does the time of day change, or are you out with the smoke or getting the beef and the cheese or the chicken at 3 a.m. getting ready for the 7:30 game?
Oh, no, it definitely changes with the time right there. Like I said, like usually like black coffee and a bagel, or black coffee and like if the occasional leftover pizza, the cornerstone of every bachelor's breakfast.
Absolutely, leftover pizza.
And it's got to be
Changer.
hot, like hot coffee and cold pizza. Amazing together. I don't care what anybody says. Another thing right there is if there's a good slice of like apple pie in there with a cold apple pie and hot black coffee, another amazing thing. So yeah, definitely go there and changes now in the afternoon, because smoking is a process right there. It's not something that's instantaneous right there. You're talking hours for things. So if you want to go through and enjoy like a good pulled pork, that's 16 hours. That's usually 16 hours of your life in there. So yeah, my favorite bagel is a plain bagel. Asiago cheese is pretty good, but yeah, plain bagels normally. But yeah, so beef right there, a little bit less time right there. But if you're having pork, I mean that's a lot of time. That's a lot of time right there. So you have to start that process really early. And I've done that right there when we had like our the FA Cup matches, or when we play the Carabao Cup like finals. I'll usually come up there and get up early, come up there and smoke something, so we have like a little bit of a party. Especially a Champions League final, I had a whole cookout for that. So I mean, it's kind of like I tell people it's like it's like the American Super Bowl, like that for us celebrating our team.
Trevor, for you, what does the time of day change, or are you, as you said, a nachos all day man, regardless?
Yeah, I'm an absolute pig. I don't really with Brian, like an Asiago bagel, but I'm one of those weirdos that will just like eat it as is. I don't cut it. I don't toast it. And I think that's kind of just ingrained in me because I'm usually eating like breakfast on the run in the morning. So even if I'm like sitting home and relaxing, my wife will like get a bagel and it'll just be all nicely done up with like a fancy cream cheese, and I'm just taking rips off of my Asiago bagel like a wolf that just wandered into a house. And it's not, I don't know. I don't have the most diverse of culinary expeditions in me, but yeah, more than anything, I don't like to, and it's kind of like the superstitious part of me. If there's like good things going on, like I said before, how I used to, like, I'll have like a Guinness to start the thing. If we score a goal while I have that first Guinness, I have to have another one. If concede, that allows me to switch my beers.
How did you stay alive after the 7-0 against Manchester United?
No. I mean, it means I don't have to switch the beer that I'm drinking, because I usually get something. That one kind of gets me through like the first half, because I'm not just absolutely chugging it. You kind of savor it. You're having it with.
To be fair, you can't chug a Guinness. It's biologically impossible.
You can. It just goes poorly.
You guys must have weak Guinness over here.
Different instances. But what you can't do is you can't shotgun a Guinness. I will tell you that. Don't. That's a PSA to the children out there. All you heading to college, stick to like light beers. Do not try to shotgun a Guinness. It will ruin your day. That girl that you were thinking of talking to later that evening, she's going to hate you because you look like you just vomited mud on yourself, and it's going to be horrible. But yeah, I am a creature of habit, and that habit is just nachos, tendies, and a couple Guinnesses, and an Asiago bagel that I eat in like 6 bites, because I can't really what's the word I'm looking for? I'm not going to look for the word. I'm just going to move on.
You don't have table manners. I think that's what you're trying to say.
Patience more.
Liverpool videos. I wonder why I'm not a Geordie away man. I'm from Dublin, right? You want to have a fight? There we go. Now let's move on, because I'm now thinking and salivating at the snacks I will be eating on Saturday night, because we are playing Manchester United in a friendly. There is absolutely no doubt that whoever wins the game will have bragging rights for a few weeks for that game, even though it's a friendly and it's everybody's kids and people are trying to avoid injury. Manchester United not doing very well on that front already. But from the preseason friendly, I saw, who did they play? Betis, was it, in the first? Yeah, they looked okay. They looked a lot more organized than they did last season. Ten Hag obviously didn't get fired, so anybody on that squad who thought, he's getting out here, I don't have to do anything, I don't have to listen, I don't have to obey any commands, now have egg on their face, because he's still the manager, and he probably will be till at least Christmas if things go right for him. But what are we looking for in this game, Brian? More of the same, just develop the style, develop the system. I believe we have, it's a Kanate and Gravenberch available. So we introduced 2 more players to the new system and see how they get on. But it's another chance, especially against a big rival like Manchester United, for somebody like Van der Berg, for somebody like Bajetic, if he hopefully gets on the field, and maybe even for Carvalho, to show that they deserve to be in contention for first team places and to not be moved on. So what are you looking for in the game? I don't personally care about the score. I don't think any of us do. It would be nice to win it. But are you like me? The one thing you just want to see is the cohesion and that the continuing development of the slot system, because the bits that we've seen that have been perfect look fantastic.
Fitness, build up, work rate, the no injuries. Those are the only things I really care about. Let's get ourselves back. Geared up toward Ipswich right there. That's the biggest concern. I want to definitely have no injuries right there. I mean, especially just the risk of it, because I was kind of scared when Jones came there, went down in that Bettis match. That we're looking at a possible Jones ankle injury. So if we can go there and steer clear of that, I think with Vandenberg right there, I want to see him. I'd like to see him go there partner with Kanate and see how he's able to go there to manage that, because Kanate is a little bit of a challenge. I mean, you can see Verge like they're probably ready to go there, pull his hair out sometimes with Kanate with the way he plays. Let's see how he matured when he was in the Bundesliga with his defending, and why so many teams squads in the Bundesliga want him. I think he handled it well with Kwanzaa. I think that they were shaky at first, but I think that they grew into the match as they further along they played. So I want to see him go and start beside him. I want to see Gravenberg right there in a couple of different spots right there. I see Gravenberg go there, let's play with him at the back as more of a double pivot or as a number 6. I also wouldn't mind seeing Gravenberg play toward like in the same spot that Slavozai played in this match against Arsenal, because I really want to see Slavozai play out wide, a little bit wider, and where Carvalho played at, to go there and see how he could go there and play as a wide like he did in his previous clubs. So those are things I'm looking for mostly. Again, unit cohesion, increased fitness, and and no injuries. It's all I worry about. Scores, who cares? It's, as I said, it's preseason. Calm down.
Trevor, do you think that my thinking is that we should actually cash in on Becker, cash in on Allison, and then just use Kelleher and Van der Berg in the defense, because having two gingers on the field at the back is going to completely discombobulate every single attack we face this season. And it's true. Don't deny. It's true. But Van der Berg, I thought Van der Berg did really well. He looks like a player who wants to stay and isn't angling for a move, where he may have been like that if Klopp was still the manager. It's a compatriot coach for him. He understands the system because he grew up in the Dutch system. So I think he did, didn't he? Yeah. He's the red-headed Dutchman. It just doesn't make any sense. But Trevor, do you think for players like Van der Berg, a solid performance against Manchester United, and I do think they've been playing more of their first team squad players than their kids like we are. A good performance like that really sets down a marker, doesn't it? Coming up to the opening game against Ipswich, it really says, I know Virgil's there and he needs a partner, so here is my credentials, and I think I've done enough. And you could see it against Manchester United. Against Betis or against Preston North End, it's a different story. But against Manchester United, a good performance is surely a good thing for any players knocking on the door.
Yeah, I think preseason's more about performances over results. The final score, I couldn't give less of a shit about. I heard everybody talk on the pregame. It's like, yeah, it stinks to hurt. It stinks to lose games. It hurts to lose games. You never want to, even in a kind of exhibition setting. But at this point, and especially with the way United is losing players seemingly like every 45 minutes. They have somebody just like they lost Yoro, they lost Højlund, they lost Rashford. I wouldn't say they lost Anthony, but he did get hurt. So we just got to put him on the list out of pure obligation, I guess. I really, Alan, I have a background, I have a green screen, but oh my God, I scrolled through hanging plant PNGs for 25 minutes before this podcast, and I refused to pay $10 for a license for a hanging plant PNG. That is why I have no plant. Also, it is 90 degrees in my house, and it will die instantly. Okay, back to the game. The Yeah, I want to, in terms of Vandenberg, I want him to kind of like Konate plays in Virgil's role and Vandenberg next to him as kind of that. What are we talking about, like a doomsday scenario? Because we all know what Konate can and can't do, and we all kind of have an idea of what
stay fit. That's what you mean, isn't it?
That's number one right there. But the biggest thing I want to see at Vandenberg is just that kind of commitment to, regardless of what time he's brought onto the game or how he's deployed, is just to go in there and make a good account of himself. And that seems vague, but for him, I think with all this talk about, oh, my price was put too high, so nobody could buy me. And I think he's kind of walked a lot of that back. Alan, it's fine. He's kind of walked a lot of that back, which seems that Slot maybe got him on board. And now you kind of got a guy that has the talent there, but you just don't really have the track record. Yeah, he did okay in the Bundesliga, and okay, I'm downplaying a bit, and he was decent in the championship. I think if you got him there, you kind of save yourself money, just like we did with Kwanzaa last year. You don't really need to go splurge on a center back. Yes, obviously, I'd like depth for when Konate gets hurt in Game 6. I would enjoy that. But if you've gotten this far with these guys going into this season, with a lot of them buying into what Slot is selling, I think you're just going to be able to kind of use those resources elsewhere.
Up the other end of the field, and the player we've talked about already, Brian, Carvalho. Again, good performance last night in sports, but there were also parts where you went back to being the other Carvalho, the kind of almost lazy, whiny one. But if he doesn't turn it on, if he, for whatever time he gets, if he gets a substantial amount of time, let's say, rather than 4 or 5 minutes, that's not going to be a measure of anything. But if he doesn't turn it on against Man United, would that confirm that he's a player that flatters to deceive, and that we don't really need him on the books, and we could free that place up for maybe, an academy player, or just to lighten the load in the attacking numbers, because we have a lot of them?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I've said, I think I said in Discord right there that we are very, very heavy right now with players in the midfield. We went from like having a light midfield to having an overabundance of midfielders. Between McConnell and between, some of these other players that we have coming up for the academy, Morton, we have to figure out what we're going to do with these guys. Carvalho,
he's also redheaded as well, isn't he? This is a pattern. This is a strategy, I'm telling you.
I mean,
we can just dye everybody's hair red. We can just go reverse blonde, early mid-90s England, and just everybody becomes a redhead, and then we intimidate them out of sheer just gingerdom.
A team of gingers would scare the entire world. But yeah, I mean. But the thing is with it is that I think that with Carvalho right there, and he made a couple of decent runs through that match right there that we saw against Arsenal. But there were some times with there where I sit there and watched him, and he did this like little crying, whiny thing. He wasn't getting the ball, and I know that Tamusha came there said he had almost like it's like somebody you just wanted to punch in the face at one point right there with all that crying and whining. It's like. So he has a lot more maturity right there. I know that he's played with squads that suit him, and I think that overall that we do have a system right there that can suit him. it's for him to go there to actually mature enough right there to realize that you are not the focal point of the squad. You are just you are part of the squad. And so get with the program. And I don't think if he can't get with the program, he's going to get moved on. I mean, either for another loan or we're going to sell him or something. But I mean, but he's definitely needs to figure his system, what he wants to do with his playing career there. I want to go back to a question that Liverpool Videos had right there between who has a brighter future, Gravenberch and Curtis Jones. I think it's a hard question to say right there because both are still fairly young. I think they play in two entirely different positions on the pitch. So I mean, I think that Gravenberch right there and Bayern's system failed Gravenberch, and I think that we're now at the point where we're trying to get him straight and mentally right there to play a decent match. I know that if Gravenberch left, John would probably crumble into pieces, if he left. But I think that's a different thing. I think that watching Curtis last night, he wasn't the greatest match that he played. But I think that Curtis is a very direct player, and I think that you need to have that direct type of player in our squad as a part of your attacking piece. So it's a hard question to say. I think that both have good futures ahead of them. I mean, I just don't know what aspect how you can judge them against each other, and that's the hardest question in my opinion, to measure.
Trevor, looking ahead to the Saturday game. Flip the script a little bit. If you're Manchester United and you lose to Liverpool's kids like Arsenal did, how is that going to dent your confidence as a player and then probably as the supporters as well? Because they're always, like we were for many, many years, this season will be our season. But if you can't beat Liverpool's kids, that's probably a damning indictment, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I think they are going to be resting more on the result of this game than we are as a fan base, just because of what they've gone through so far this preseason. The fact that they're already a third of their starting lineup in the toilet before they've even played game one, that's not ideal. I feel no sympathy on that front, but that's just me being a little bit of a hater. But I think more than anything, I don't want this to be a game where I don't want this to be a game where there's things taken for granted, because in the end, it is Liverpool, Manchester United. I don't care that it's being played in Columbia, South Carolina. It is something where you kind of want to put that marker down, where you want to really just and this is sports in general. You kind of want to kick them while they're down and give those kids. I want that to kind of be the rallying cry from Arne Slot going in this game. Like this, I know this is a preseason game, but this is Manchester United, and they are a wounded animal. And I want you to go up to that bear trap, and I want you to just stomp on this wounded animal's head. I'm, and this is not advocating to further injure players. They can do that all on their own, especially because Maguire will potentially be playing. And we all know that he's a buoy. And one day he's just going to completely tip over. And that's how you tear an Achilles. I read that in a physiology book. But it's more just go in there and have this be the kids. Like some of them may have only played United on like a youth level and maybe a low youth level. Just stress the importance of this fixture and just don't get hurt.
And then the final out on the game for Saturday for both of you will start with Brian. It's an easy question. Whose bald manager will be laughing more at the end of the season?
That's a really easy question. Slot's going to be laughing a lot more than Ten Hag right there, because I don't think that Ten Hag probably won't have a job before the end of the season. I really think that this is probably they're probably almost at at the end of the rope with Ten Hag. The only thing that saved his job was the FA Cup. That's it. I mean, I think that he would have probably been gone, but if he didn't go there with the FA Cup. But let's see what happens. I think that Slot definitely we will finish above them. Mark my word.
Trevor, would you take a lot to United on Saturday to give them some massive overconfidence that they will regret come October, and then we finish first and they finish 8th come next May, June?
Yeah, and I just want to disagree with Brian on one thing. They were ready to kick Ten Hag to the curb even after winning that. It was the fact that their first 7 choices of replacement all said "fuck off." And then they're like, well, Eric, we were just kidding. Like, you want an extension, right? No one else is trying to hire you. So why don't we all just have that awkward second date? It's going to be great. Nobody is going to say that this is going to fail at all. It's going to just be like Lisa Marie Presley and Michael Jackson on stage at the MTV Awards. Just like, nobody thought this was, everybody thought this was going to happen, but everybody didn't want it to. But there is no doubt in my mind that the bald man who will have the heartiest laugh come the end of this campaign will be Arne Slot.
And on that Michael Jackson note, I do hope that we go and we win next Saturday by 0 goals to 3. As Trevor spits his beer out. But we will be back next week. Make sure you are doing all the good stuff. That is that for this show. Follow us on YouTube, follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and on our Patreon, where all the good stuff is. But also, we have a 24-hour podathon coming up on the weekend of August 10th and the 11th. Keep an eye on all of our social medias for more info on that, and some a silent auction with some good goodies, and a particularly good goodie as well. But that's what you have to sign up for, and like and smash and gently tap your subscribe buttons for, so that you can get all that great info. But it's 24 hours of us. It doesn't get more weirder than that. And if you're lucky, there might be a Macka treat overnight. And it's not me eating all the donuts that Annan can't stomach. I'll tell you that much. But it just remains to say thank you to Brian and thank you to Trevor. Thank you to all you guys. The comments were fantastic tonight. We cannot get to all of them, but we tried to get to as many as we can. You're all smashing people. Enjoy the game on Saturday. The morning coffee show is on tomorrow morning. And there may be a pre and a post match for the Saturday game against United. We'll see how drunk we all are, except for me, because I'm a good boy. But we will see everybody then. And it is time, as usual, on Thursday nights to peace out and say, here's the 70s porn.